Hey, what's up everybody? This is Chris with Digital Rim, and in this video we're going to go over the camera settings that we use in our startup scene in Blender. So with that being said, we're just going to hop right into it. Let's go. So we're going to start with the studio that we set up here. Essentially a cube inside of the studio backdrop that we created in the previous video. If you want to watch that video, make sure you go back with the link above. So we're going to scale this studio down just a little bit. Now we're going to grab this camera up here on the left side. And essentially we're going to set this camera up just like you would in the studio. We're going to put it right in front of the cube. So let's go ahead and move it on the y-axis. And then we're going to rotate it around to look towards the actual box. So you use these handles to pretty much move your object or transform your object in whatever fashion you want. Now you see there's multiple handles on here, and it can be hard to grab, so just work with it until you just grab the blue here where it's just the Z-axis. So we essentially just turn the camera around. Another useful option is doing the camera to view section. If you hit camera to view and hit 0, now you can navigate around the scene as if you're viewing through the camera lens. So now you can scale, zoom in, zoom out, not necessarily scale, but zoom in and zoom out and pan to where you want. So we're going to put it right here as if we were looking at the box, because that's going to be our main point of interest. Now we're going to go ahead and select the camera, and what I like to do is make sure everything is straight. So on the rotation of everything, we're going to zero these rotations out or make them 90 degrees if it's the closest thing is 90 degrees. And on the rotation for Z, we're going to make that 180. So you just want to find the closest to 90 degrees, the factor of 90 degrees that you can. And again, with the X, we want to put it on the 0 location. And this will be our default camera placement. Become a Patreon today and support this community and support this channel. You might be asking, why would I want to do that? Well, one of the reasons is we are creating coding camps and tech camps for kids, and a lot of the Patreon dollars will go towards setting up those coding and tech camps with equipment and all of the things that are necessary to teach younger generations how to do some of the digital media techniques that we teach here at Digital Rim. So with that being said, your Patreon dollars will go towards scholarships for certain members of the Digital Rim community. So with that being said, make sure you get your membership, but at the same time, become a Patreon if you're not really interested in becoming a member just yet. Let's go. Now I'm going to share with you this additional step that's usually overlooked by beginners. We're going to go in the menu, hit add, and go to empty, and we're going to add an empty to this scene. I like to use a sphere personally, so we're going to add a sphere. And you can scale that to whatever size necessary, but we're going to go in an object here and we're going to rename this POI. And you might be asking, what does POI stand for? It's going to be the point of interest. So we want to have this as our focal point of our camera. So we're going to grab our camera, select the camera, and if you see here, you can select point of interest. You can select it like that, or you could select it here. And this is under the depth of field tab. Now that you have it assigned, you're going to go ahead and check that on. And what this essentially does is allows you to create points of interest where it will be in focus. Your image will be in focus. So with that being said, you can go back in and grab your camera and change the focal length to 50 millimeters or whatever you want. And then you'll have that depth of field with a blurry background. And here you have all of these different other options that you can use when actually manipulating your camera. All of these different settings, just like the real world camera, you can make all of these different settings for your actual virtual camera here. So we're going to set this camera sensor to 50 millimeters as well. Now, one of the advanced tips that I highly suggest is that you toggle on the safe areas here. So we're going to toggle that safe areas on, and then you can see it shows the action area, basically like a camera guidelines. So one thing I like to do is create an interior one that's a square aspect ratio, because again, if you are producing for social media and also, you know, YouTube and things like that, you want to keep in mind what is a square aspect ratio and what is the actual 1920 by 1080 or 4K resolution. So again, I highly suggest you use this safe area guide as a guide for producing content for multiple platforms. That's just a pro tip for everybody. Now you can do other things like turn on background images just in case you were trying to create like a sky or something around this thing, but we're not doing that for this default scene. So we're just going to leave that toggled off, but I just want to share that with you as well. What else is there? Just like aperture on a regular camera, you're going to have that as well, but make sure this is set to millimeters and you'll pretty much be set to go as far as making this camera act just like a DSLR camera in the real world. You can set this to keep this at auto. I highly suggest it, but again, there's no wrong answer with that. Just at the most part, keep it as realistic to a real camera as possible. Now we're going to take off the selection of the camera, and you can see if you hit 0 now, we will hop back out of the camera view. So now you can see it's set up just like a studio. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to learn more, go to digitalrealm.com and become a member today. With your membership, you get access to our course library. We have all different types of digital media content creation topics that you can cover and learn for yourself. Very beginner friendly, just like this video. So with that being said, go to digitalrealm.com and get your membership today. And don't forget, join our Discord community at the link below. You can get access to a lot of topics and discussions about these videos just like this from members of the Creator Camp. So with that being said, hopefully I'll see you in the Discord community in the link below. Let's go.